Hi, Alan Murphy from Notified here, and today I'm joined with my colleague, Kevin Pflug. He's the senior producer of on-site production here at Notified, and today we're going to be talking about investor days, IR events, and things like best practices, things to consider with venues, production teams, all of that. Yeah. So, Kevin, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, what are some common challenges presenters face when speaking to both in-person and virtual audiences, and how can they overcome them?
Content is key, right? So you want to consider the people that you can see and the people that you can't see, right? And you want to make sure that the content and the end message, and most importantly, the experience remains the same. And Notified has a lot of tools within the resources with respect to the production, the webcasting, the experience that we can provide with that, to whereas it doesn't matter if you're in person or you're virtual, your experience remains the same.
You're getting an equitable experience no matter how you're watching the presentation.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. So, Kevin, what are some factors that are rarely considered but should be when planning a successful IR event with on-site AV support?
Yeah, I really want to say the biggest thing is when and where, right? You want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough ample time during the lead up to make sure that you have enough adequate time to have your vision and your desired end result achieved. And that's something Notified's extremely good at. We pride ourselves in. We have so many tools and resources available, from production to the webcasting elements, and all those things are tied together, right? Which is what makes us the most trusted name in the IR PR event space. Giving yourself that ample time to allow us to ask those type of questions for you, because at the end of the day, we want to execute the event the way that you want it pulled off, because everyone is different. Everyone has different priorities, target metrics, things that they really want to translate to their in-person and their virtual audience. So allowing enough time to execute that.
Yeah, and doing that all with one vendor really allows us to be part of that process from beginning to end.
Instead of having multiple vendors doing multiple things, you have one point of contact through Notified, and then you have multiple people working for you.
Yeah. So, Kevin, with virtual audiences becoming the norm for IR events, how have presenters effectively kept the virtual audiences active and engaged?
Yeah, there's several things which we recommend. Obviously, if your event is several hours, you really want to make sure that your engagement with your virtual audience is there, right? There are certain factors that maybe they can't travel or schedules doesn't align, and the virtual audience shouldn't be penalized for not being able to be there. So there's different things that you can do as far as, maybe breaking up your Q&A into chunks, having it, during the middle portion, or the front third or the middle third, instead of at the very end. Allowing that type of engagement, whether it be just, typing in questions or having a phone line towards you, have that human element as well too. Content is key. Tailoring your content towards it's engaging with your in-person audience. But if it's engaging with your in-person audience, it translates so much more to your virtual audience as well too.
Yeah. It sounds like really being mindful about the presentation structure itself and the use of the tools for the virtual audience all really makes a good experience.
And speaking of tools, Notified has so many different options to be able to implement your desired look of what you're trying to accomplish with the Investor Day.
Absolutely. What is one piece of advice you'd give to a company hosting an Investor Day for the very first time?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it really truly is appropriate towards you don't know what you don't know. But Notified does know, right? We have the tenure, we have the proven track record to be able to execute the type of event that you would like to pull off, and we ask those pointed questions, because at the end of the day, we really truly embody the fact that we don't win unless you win. And because we have that track record, this is something that we have the tenure with, that we specialized with. It allows us to ask pointed questions from on-site production to microsite to registration to webcasting. The list goes on and on and on. Having that vendor who specializes in that to allow you to hit the metrics and the targets that you need to achieve for your Investor Day. And having that first Investor Day can be daunting. It can be very, very intimidating. But our goal is to take that stress off of you by allowing us to do what we do best. So at the end of the day, the only thing that you really need to worry about is showing up, executing the event, and then allowing us to get you across the finish line for that event.
Yeah, let the clients worry about what they're saying in the presentation. We'll handle the rest just to make sure it's a smooth experience.
Yes.
Yeah. What differentiates Notified's production team from other providers?
Yeah, I mean, really the thing is the tenure. We specialize in it. Investor Day and public relations type production events are different from other type of events, right? A lot of people could potentially see similarities or not really get into the weeds of why is this different, but it really is different because you have to execute, it has to look good and sound good, and you have to get that regulatory messaging out there. And because of the high level of importance on that, Notified has that tenure, they have the productional tools. Our partners that we have all over the states and all over the world have been with us for years upon years upon years, and we continue to partner with them and we continue to produce our stuff because we understand the importance of it. We understand as Notified this specific type of segment that we need to achieve for you.
Right. It's not always one size fits all.
Correct.
With different on-site production
That is exactly it.
You've got the experience to know what the clients need.
Correct.
Yeah. So what are some important factors to consider when choosing a venue to host an investor day?
Yeah, I mean, that is, I think, one of the most overlooked and yet more important considerations, because if you're going to hold this outside of your office in a venue or a corporate a public meeting space, not corporate space but a public meeting space, you have to realize that those spaces thrive on event churn, event after event after event, and you may not get the necessary lead up that you deserve or need in order to really make sure that your event is executed the way that you need it to. And that's what Notified really specializes in and prides himself in, is making sure that we are executing the event the way that you want it and that you need it. So asking those pointed questions, because we have the tenured with that, whereas other venues will just provide the basic necessities because it's kind of a one size, one shop fits all, instead of having that specialized niche that understands the event that we are executing.
What are some common pitfalls that should be avoided when planning an investor day with on-site production like your team?
Yeah, I mean, that is the most important thing, because that trickles down into so many different avenues, from your in-room experience to your virtual experience to on-demand replay. And really the thing that you need to look at in considering that is the quality and the tenure that the production team has.
Yeah, that should be the top priority.
That has to be the top priority, because anyone could have cameras, anyone could have lights, microphones. We're in a phenomenal studio that represents us very, very well, right? However, if you have the in-house stuff that's just going from event to event to event, it may not be tailored the way that you want it. It may not represent your on-stage presenters the way that it needs to be represented. The graphics, the playbacks, the list can go on and on and on. So really making sure that you understand what their specialty of production is, because Notified's specific production specialty is around the IR and PR events. We get it, we execute it, and that is something that we have a proven track record of.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about the in-room audiences, but how can the work of an on-site production team elevate the viewing experience of a virtual audience?
It's pivotal. It is creative, and there are so many different types of simple yet not often thought of switches or implementations that can keep that virtual audience engaged, right? You talked earlier about when you go to see a movie that's 3 hours long that's meant to entertain you, sometimes you can zone out even with something that's supposed to entertain you. With this, you really want to make sure that you're in messaging for the investors that are watching remotely have that same level of engagement that the people in the room do. And there are so many different tools and resources that Notified has to be able to suggest those things for you, which is things that we do during those lead up calls and those planning phases to make sure, do we have the proper personnel, the proper gear, the proper mindset to execute the event the way that you think is going to be most beneficial for your end messaging, and you know your target audience, so we really want to make sure that we understand that as well too.
Yeah, every piece along the way, from the presentation content, the use of the webcast engagement tools, all of that really trickles down to the end experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I think that's all the time we have for today. For anyone watching, if you would like to learn some more information about Notified's offering for IR events, visit notified.com today. Thank you.